Hey everyone, this is the special project I was telling you about. Taking in kind of a comparison and in-depth look at one of the most popular children's book series of all time, the Berenstain Bears. Now, you might look at me and you say, what's a person like him reading, why is a person like him reading the Berenstain Bears? Well, let me kind of explain. You see, ever since I was a young kid, just like many of you, I've enjoyed the Berenstain Bears. As a matter of fact, I remember watching the 1985 series when it first originally aired on CBS on Saturday mornings. And then rewatching it about 15, 18 years later when it got re-aired in syndication on Saturday and Sunday mornings, thanks to Dig Entertainment. I also remember watching, in fact, it was most recently, and it's still being aired on Sprout and PBS stations all over, the revitalized Berenstain Bears. The revitalized versions are more directly from the books, with some original stories here and there, but mostly directly from the books. And it doesn't matter what books it was. Most of the stories, yes, were based off the first time books, while others were actually based and loosely adapted off the easy step into the reading books, while some are also loosely adapted from the big chapter books. And that's the comparison I want to do today, comparing the big chapter books to what we have watched recently with the 2003 series. So, where do we begin? Well, let me show you the big chapter book series. Now, I previously probably talked about these in another video. But the big chapter book series is basically a book series like this. As you can read the titles from here, this one is called the Bermuda Triangle. And you can see, look what the cover is. Now you might think to yourself, as a longtime Berenstain Bear fan, that I've never actually heard of that story. Well, believe it or not, these books have actually been out since about 1993. That's right. And this story was published in 1997. Now, what exactly does it have to do with? Well, that's where one other story comes in first. Because you see, this sort of serves like a sequel to another story that the big chapter book series got introduced by. The New Girl in Town. Now, the New Girl in Town basically introduced the character right here of Bonnie Brown. Now, Bonnie Brown, we find out, is the niece of Squire Grizzly. Of Squire and Lady Grizzly, that is. And she ends up befriending Brother Bear, after Brother, of course, ends up getting a crush on her the first time he sees her. And because of this, not only does she befriend him, but she helps him get over his shyness towards girls and his embarrassments of always having crushes on girls. But why does this serve as a sequel to this? Because it mentions some of the things that took place in the first book. Like, one of the things that takes place in this book is a play called Romeo and Juliet. Basically, Bonnie and Brother are the lead roles, Romeo and Juliet, and this play kind of helps stop a feud between the Grizzlies and the Bears. It's referenced here because there's a new cub that comes to town called Bermuda. Bermuda is actually the cousin of another character that has been seen in not only in the big chapter book series, has also been seen in the first time book series, making her debut in the first time book series book called The In Crowd, as well as being seen in the Trick or Treat book. But that character is none other than Queenie McBear. This character right here, if you could see her. Now, Queenie McBear has also been recently seen in the PBS revival of the Berenstain Bears. But there's a difference. So let's start with talking about these characters. And let's start off by talking about Queen.